Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome for today's Textdrip webinar. We are so excited to have you here. And today we are diving into a topic that is more relevant than ever, leadership and team development for remote workers. My name is Kath, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. And we're in for a treat because we also have Anne today, a rockstar customer service supervisor who leads a fully remote team with insight, energy, and a heart. Now, she'll be sharing her secrets to building strong connections and supporting her team to grow no matter where they log in from.
Hi, Kath. I am really excited to be here today and dive into the questions that you have.
Awesome. So let's get into the first question that I have here. How can supervisors provide an effective and real-time feedback to their remote agents?
This is a great start because real-time feedback is so important when you're working remote. And I want to say first, timing is everything. It's important to give the feedback promptly, and the best time to do so is right after a customer interaction. It doesn't necessarily have to be formal. It can be a quick message sent or maybe hop on a 2-minute Zoom call. And also be specific. We kind of need to go beyond the broad praise and really point out what worked. So saying something like, you showed empathy when the customer was upset, you really acknowledged their concern, and you de-escalate it fast. Great job. And also offer actionable recommendations, so saying things like maybe a tone adjustment or giving some phrases that they could use next time will be really helpful, and it's much more appreciated when things are given with a guide.
Thank you so much, Anne, for sharing all of those great insights on how supervisors can provide an effective and real-time feedback to their remote agents by using those three principles that you just discussed. Timeliness, being specific, and providing actionable recommendations. Now, moving on to my next question, what are the best practices for coaching agents based on their recorded interactions?
So recorded interactions is so helpful when we're working remote. And start with active listening, and not just listening to what was said, but how it was said. So their tone, their pace, and their energy can really make a difference. And we do have to be constructive with our feedback, but it is best if we kind of remain neutral and focus on the specifics of things. And something like the situation behavior impact model can really help this. And make the conversations two-way. So before I give my feedback, I would actually like to ask my team, what they felt like or how they felt the interaction went. And this kind of gives them a moment to think and also know that their thoughts matter as well to me. And build trust first. So it's great to start conversations off with a more relaxed tone to really open up to talk about the feedback that's going to be given when we discuss these interactions.
And I agree that coaching agents should definitely start with consistency. It should definitely be like a two-way communication while building connection, as a leader and trust. And of course, it should always be constructive and not judgmental, especially with your virtual employees. Now, those are awesome stuff that you're touching base with us today, Anne. That brings me up to another important point that we'd like to explore today. How can leaders ensure that their remote employees feel valued and connected?
So this is another great topic because when you're working remote, those connections and those bonds don't happen naturally. It's something that needs to be created. So recognizing and appreciate wins can really go a long way, whether it's 1 to 2 virtual assistants that you're sending a voice note to, or maybe like a quick shout out or a thank you. And for bigger teams, you could do group shout outs in Telegram to really recognize wins that people have created. And also consistent communication will help. a coffee date or one-on-one chats just to kind of really get to know one another and build those bonds even stronger and support growth. And you could do this by sending maybe a quick link to a course that they could learn some new topics. You could also hold workshops for larger teams. You really want everybody to feel like a community and not just work groups.
It's good to know that working from home, it doesn't have to be like a lonely thing, and that there are ways that we can, still continue to foster a positive team culture when working remotely. Like what you said, whether it's for like a group of employees or just one to two virtual assistant, there are ways that we can still make them feel valued and connected, working remotely. Now, my next question is, how can supervisors lead by example when it comes to time management and work life balance at a remote job?
Well, we need to walk the talk ourselves. And I will say we need to start by setting clear priorities. So we have to tie broader tasks back to the goals, like relating quick quality responses back to customer satisfaction metrics. And also, we have to model healthy work hours. So it's important to let them know that once we're logged off, we should recharge and regroup and avoid from sending, I try my best to avoid sending messages after work hours so we can prevent that burnout and make that work life and home life balance kind of work. And be transparent and relatable. And that goes with sharing your wins and struggles. You could share productivity tools that have worked for you, or sometimes I like to share if I'm having a rough week. Kind of allowing this from myself lets my team know that they can be transparent and relatable with me and more open to things that they want to discuss on a regular basis.
That's definitely a great perspective on leadership in a remote environment. I know that as a leader, we should walk the talk, just like what you said. And building on that idea of setting the tone, leading by example, let us shift to another key aspect of remote work. And unfortunately, the last question of today's webinar. What are the best ways to manage and track team KPIs in a remote environment?
This is another great topic because everybody is working from different places. So we kind of want the day to day to align and run smooth. I want to say you should always tailor your tools to your team size. So, for a larger team, I would say something like Live Agent works great because it can track tickets, it can track customer interactions, and really stay on top of things. And if you're working with one to two virtual assistants, things like Google Sheets or Trello can help with daily tasks, wins, and just things that are needed from the day to day. It's also great to implement scorecards. This kind of offers a screenshot of their performance, but it also is a conversation starter to really align new goals and discuss the wins that they've had. Quality assurance sheets kind of help also keeping everything consistent and across the board for your whole team or your one to two virtual assistants, and maintaining agent record trackers to track trends or development areas and strengths over time can really help also. And I feel like no matter where people are working from, if we are having these tools and these habits implemented, it is going to make the day to day a bit easier.
Those are really some insightful strategies for staying aligned and accountable, as a remote team. And as we wrap up today's discussion, I would like to thank everyone who joined us today, and of course, an even bigger thanks to our special guest Anne for sharing her valuable insights and real world strategies on leading and developing remote employees and teams. Now, as we've seen today, great leadership knows no distance. So whether your team is just across the office or across the globe, connection, trust, and continuous growth are definitely your keys to success. So we hope that you are leaving today inspired, equipped, and ready to lead your remote teams with confidence and a purpose. And if you have any questions or feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at outreach@textdrip.com. Also, stay tuned to our next Textdrip webinar where we'll touch base on integrating SMS marketing with your overall marketing strategy. And again, thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, Kath.
Bye.